Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
is nice to see you guys this morning. Oh, we got something telling me. Let me go ahead and skip this. We've got an ad coming up. We just skipped an ad. It gives me an opportunity to skip an ad. I just realized that. I don't know if that's on every setting, but I changed the setting because Lisa B. always came in here and said, I'm just getting clobbered. I'm like, well, I got them set for every 30 minutes. I mean, it's the lowest setting you can get, okay? That's better than the TV, right? Every 15 minutes you get an ad on TV. I got mine set for 15. It is nice to see you guys waking up to great news. Actually, I went to bed with great news because many of you guys don't know. I had hard time sleeping. So last night at 11 o'clock when Justin For All was going through this great, amazing news, I was actually in his chat, believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe because I don't stay up that late. I'm usually I go to bed early. I try to rise early. So as you can imagine, I didn't get up like where I wanted to get up when I wanted to get up, right? But we're still in pajamas, still drinking some coffee. Getting rolled out this morning with this breaking news. So many of you guys know that you guys have been with me walking through the case of Michael Monkey Vaughn. I even haven't had an opportunity to go out and do groundwork in Fruitland, Idaho on this case, this very specific case. When I was out there, we did not know or learn the name of Stacy or Sarah Wandra. We did not know about Adrian Lucen. We did not know about Brandon Shirtliff. We knew that there were some neighbors on the other side that were of particular interest. That was about to the extent of the information that I had going into Fruitland, Idaho. At the time that I went through Fruitland, Idaho, because we were covering how this happened is Michael Monkey Vaughn disappeared about 45 days after Summer Wells. Summer Wells, as many of you guys know, we followed that case. I was out there probably, we got into the case about 6 months after Summer Wells started because we were at Gabby Petito when it started getting underway. And then we had... Or it was right before Gabby Petito, but I wasn't in true crime at that time. And then we had Summer Wells. We went off to Summer Wells, and then we hear about Michael Monkey Vaughn. Well, we basically were comparing, Brandy Vaughn. She's not Brandy. She was Brandy Neal at the time. I think she's Brandy Vaughn now. But Brandy Neal at the time, she was, we put her on a pedestal. We showed everybody what crappy parents looked like versus parents that are trying to find their child. Well, at some point during this, putting them on a pedestal, we weren't getting answers. And of course, then people start, even we did, where people start focusing on, their behavior. We even had somebody that was there, at the thing, I was asking them questions, and it was hard for them because, you got parents that are struggling to find answers. They're upset. We noticed that Tyler and Brandy weren't really, together like a unit when they were out in public. It was just, people were starting to read into so much when it came to Michael Monkey Vaughn. So it was just starting to eat at me because I was starting to mimic some of those sentiments from these people, right? And it was... I just needed to know, is the mom, is there a possibility that the mom is somehow responsible? And I didn't want to believe it because for a year, or 9 months, I had been putting Brandy on this pedestal, comparing her next to, the likes of Don Wells and, Candace Bly, because they weren't looking for their child, where you have Brandy looking for a child. Even when I was coming into Idaho, everybody was calling her and telling her I was coming to protest her and this, that, and I was not. I was just going out there to find out what happened in this case. I do pretty damn good work, and we did pretty damn good work in this particular case too. Not only did we knock doors and talk to neighbors and, get a lay of the land of what happened that morning, we found witnesses that saw and observed Brandy's behavior that had no reason to lie to us about her very much normal and what we would expect from a mother that is missing a child and is looking for a child. So when we went out there, including but not limited to one of the drone operators, I got an opportunity to go out and meet a drone operator at a park. And I went out there and met this guy at the park and got to interview him about the morning that, Michael Monkey Vaughn disappeared from his community. So we knew without a doubt before I even interviewed Brandy Neal that, she had nothing to do with it. But because of the environment we were starting to shift to, I felt it was very important that I go out there because I know people know I'm brutally honest. And if I believe that this lady has nothing to do with her son, I know that others will start understanding, because they know if somebody's guilty, I'm going to say they're guilty as shit. If I feel that way, regardless of what the powers that be want me to say. You guys have watched me do it. I've stood on my hill all alone. But there's been times I've stood on that hill all alone and I was absolutely 100% right. I knew when I went out there and I was eyeball to eyeball. One of the reasons why I love being boots on the ground and why I like being eyeball to eyeball to people is because you get the vibe, you get to feel them when you're talking to them. You get to see their body language, you get to see how they answer questions, you get to see how their brain's processing. You can get a lot of information being belly to belly with somebody and asking them questions. And despite this woman thinking I was coming there to protest her, okay, poor lady, okay. Brandy Neal, God bless that lady, okay? I'm telling you, she didn't care. She still sat down to meet with me. Now, that doesn't tell you a woman willing to do anything to find her child. That's a woman that's willing to do anything to find her child. I broke down here on this show when I found out that Brandy Neal was bay flighted. I thought she was going to lose her life before her son got justice, and the thought of that broke my heart because I've watched this woman, fight like a mom, like we want. And this is what we hope we get from every single parent that has a missing child, but all too often we know that that's not the case, right? In this case, that's what we got. We got a mama bear that was willing to do just about anything, including meeting with me. Now, mind you, the reason why I emphasize even meeting with me, because I told everybody I was going out there for a fact-finding trip, but it didn't matter what I said at this point. They just wanted the click in the view of saying, Bullhorn Betty's coming. They called this lady. This lady is literally, worried about her child. And these hate channels are calling this lady up and terrifying, like victimizing this victim, this mom that's missing her child, that I'm coming there to bring a protest to her front door. I was just, you can't make this stuff up. These are the same hate channels that we still have to this day that a lot of these animals support. But just awful. But I'm glad I got to go out there. I'm glad I got to meet her. And again, when I was out there, we did not know about the Wandras. I did go by the Wandras' house after they had been identified as being potential suspects in the disappearance of Michael Monkey Vaughn. I actually went out there with Chronicles of Olivia. It was when we were coming back from doing some stuff over in the Idaho 4 case. We had Boise, Idaho, I think, was where our plane, we went into, I think it was Boise for one and Seattle, Washington for the other. We took 2 trips out to Idaho. And when we were in the Boise, we decided to stop by Fruitland and get some updates. And I went by the Wanderer's house. And, at this time, I don't think that they had any of the equipment out there or anything like that. I don't even think I knocked on the door. Usually I go knock on the door, but I think we got there so late. I didn't want to disrupt the community. I just wanted to get my clips and my cuts and my, me standing out there and doing my thing. So, long story short, we heard about the Wandras, and then JLR gets this really good interview with Brandon Shurtleff. He trolled him for forever and ever. I remember this because that was when we were kind of together and we were talking about this, and he had just basically trolled him and said, I can't believe you're letting people talk to you like this. Like, he really got him going. And, he convinced him. He's like, look, if you just come on, I won't cut anything. I'm not going to clip anything. I'll roll it out just the way is exactly. We won't do any cuts at all. Whatever you want on the to be said, we will make it said. And so it was like Brandon Shirtliff is like drinking, so it's like, and he's hammering him down, and he's getting comfortable and loosey goosey with his stuff, but he's denying everything, but he doesn't look like he's not guilty. He feels like he's guilty. You feel the guilt from him oozing from his drunken pores, right? He's in freaking South Dakota. There's snow around him. He's in a hot tub drinking beer, okay? This is the likes of Brandon Shirtliff. But Jonathan got that very good interview. It was an amazing interview to have. It was, I think, the only one we've got, okay, of Brandon Shirtliff. And then, of course, I believe it was a couple of content creators that got Stacey Wandra to speak after he got out of jail. Well, he went back to jail. It sounds like he was being released from jail, and they finally picked him up on charges for Michael Monkey Vaughn. This, again, is a long time coming, folks, as you guys can imagine. It's been a long time coming. He disappeared on, what was it, June or July? I think, no, July 27th, 2021. And it's sad, too, because it all happened in such a split second. So he had a tendency of getting out. He lived in a very bedroom community. Everybody knew everybody on that street, and he went across the street, looking to play with a friend. And, just like the normal neighbor, honey, I don't think you're supposed to be over here. Go on home. I'm sure your mommy and daddy, because everybody kind of knows everybody, right? So I'm pretty sure it went just like that, where, they sent him home, and he said he watched him go to about the mailbox, and then they went in the house. He was home, he was in his driveway. He was just right across the street. And from the time that neighbor shut their door to a few seconds later, that child was gone. Now, I don't know what made these folks do what they did. I know it was a crime of opportunity. I know that they didn't set out to go find a child that day, but they were probably, messed up in the head doing things that they should not be doing. And, just that split second, there's a child, and they decide, let's go get that child. That's what we're kind of getting. And it sounds to me like this child was left with Brandon. Yeah, at his mom's house. His mom was out of town. Whatever happened. I don't know. Whatever happened is putrid and disgusting to me. But it sounds like whatever happened at the Wanderer's house. He was at the Wanderer's house. The dogs hit in an area on the ground. There was a void in the ground of the Wanderer home. So I broke the story, which got me in a little bit of hot water, but I break news. And I got a lead. Somebody called me early in the morning and said, you need to call the Fruitland Police Department. They've just arrested somebody for a failure to report the death of a child. And that was the first time I heard of Stacey Wandra's name. And I called down there, and sure enough, law enforcement released to me that Stacey Wandra had been arrested for failing to report the death of a child. I broke it. I only assumed that law enforcement obviously spoke to the mom. I mean, you're making an arrest on a child that you've been thinking is missing, and now you're making an arrest on a deceased child. Yeah, I assumed that law enforcement told mom. Okay, it was a poor assumption for me to have made, because lo and behold, I come to find out that by me breaking that morning, that mom did not know. Mom found out from she didn't find out from my news break. She found out from my news break because these hate channels were all up in my, watching every breath I took. So then they call Brandy up on their channel and play my clip to her live so they can get her breaking down on their channel. She had no idea. I never told her, they did. She didn't watch my channel, so there's no way I could have broke the news to her. It was her friends that broke the news to her publicly, and I thought that was really horrible. And then they tried to blame me for breaking a woman's heart. It's like, well, you know, I deal with news. It's breaking news. I got a lead. I followed the lead. I got the stuff from the source. The law enforcement confirmed it. Naturally, I would think if law enforcement is confirming this information for me, they would have already told the mother. Okay? That's that assumption. I just assumed that law enforcement, if they're arresting somebody, especially for the death of a child, they're going to let the mom or the family know they're making the arrest of the death of a child, just like they did here. They just made an arrest for Stacey Wandra, and guess what? It was Brandy that was able to break that to Justin. Why? Because law enforcement told her about it, you know, and that's what I had expected. I expected her to be told about this this arrest, but she had not. So, you know, I'm very much involved in the Michael Monkey Vaughn case, especially when it was very active and ongoing. We learned about these people. I actually, J.D. Huff, he's the police chief out there, or at least he was at the time this case is going on. Nice guy. I was able to speak to him. I was able to get some record requests there, because part of my you know, my job when I get there is to look in all the people that have contact with this child, right? So I'm looking at mom's background, dad's background. I'm even going over to Ontario, or whatever it is, Ontario, Oregon, and pulling stuff from there, because they live there as well. We want a good idea who these people are and who's around this child, because we need to eliminate those people. It wasn't to pick on them, you know, the things that I found, and I even came out and said, look, I found, you know, a little something, something, but it's so minor, it has nothing to do with it. I never even came out and said what those minor things were. We never did that, you know, but we do the background because it's part of the job. Okay, we have to go from ground zero and work our way out. That means anybody that has contact with that child, we have to look in the background of them. We don't know who did something to a child. We don't know if mommy and daddy did something to a child. We don't know if aunt and uncle did something to a child. We don't know if the neighbor down the road did something to the child, where in this case it was the neighbor down the road that did something to the child. You guys get it? So very good news, very happy. If you guys want a little more information, this is a clip that I've got from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, folks. That is quite the time. 3 years ago. And so I wanted you guys to see this and hear this. I think, do we start? Let's start it from the very
I'm in Tampa. There was kind of like a protest out here.
Oh, yeah. And just to let you know, this is from 3 years ago. And where I'm at is SAS. That's that Student Action Summit that's put on by Turning Points USA. This is just one of the many events that I went to supporting Charlie Kirk and his mission. I think this is one of the years that I got all those photos too. So interesting stuff. Nothing that you probably really care about, but interesting.
Earlier, so I was able to capture that and actually put that video on my Facebook. But that's not really why I'm writing here. Many of you guys know that Michael Monkey Vaughn has been missing since July 27th, 2021, and there was a press conference that happened in Fruitland, Idaho. And that press conference actually revealed several things, in my opinion. I was going to come earlier, but I've been standing in line waiting for a seat and all this other stuff. I finally got my seat and decided to come out here and just, you know, say hi to everybody. But I also didn't just want to say hi without discussing one of the cases we're covering. And one of the cases that we are covering is Michael Monkey Vaughn. There's a few takeaways that I got from the press conference. One is that there are several persons of interest in his disappearance that law enforcement still has yet to clear. I was a little disappointed in mainstream media for not asking a very specific question, and that very specific question that I would like to know would be whether or not the parents have been cleared. We have no information one way or the other whether the parents have been cleared of any wrongdoing in connection with the disappearance of their son. If the wife was at work, I would think that she would have already been cleared because she was at work at the time of his disappearance. They also was very specific about the time that they believe that Michael Monkey Vaughn disappeared. Very specific. We don't have a 4-hour window like we do with the Summer Wells case. We have a very small window. And what I did find odd in that window was that was the time, in and around the time that Kira, the stepdaughter, left the residence. We also know from Kira that when she came back around 4:15, she did not have or see Michael Vaughn in the house. And as a matter of fact, she had stated that Tyler, her stepfather, was actually jumped out at her as if he was playing hide and go seek. And in my opinion, that seemed odd because in an article that I read, it stated that you could hear the front door open, that he would not have gone out the front door because it's noticeable. The sound is noticeable when that door is open. So if Kira was coming in that front door, why would Tyler think that she was Michael to jump out at while they were playing hide and go seek? And not only that, but she stated that she had not seen Michael in that home the entire time she was there, from the time she got there between 4 and 4:15 to the time she left at 6:47, 6:48-ish time. The other takeaway that I got from the press conference was this is a criminal investigation. This is no longer a missing person. This is no longer just a missing child. This is a full-fledged criminal investigation, and therefore they have to preserve the integrity of the investigation. So they're not able to provide us a lot of the details related to this case that they would have normally liked to have provided. Some of the other things that I liked from the press conference is they're still asking for the public's help. Many of us know when you have a high-profile case, law enforcement starts backing up, they start distancing themselves, they start not really wanting any help from the public.
I just wanted to let you guys know, if you guys have been watching my show, same stuff. This was a video from over 3 years ago. This was right before I left to go to Idaho to check on the details, because as you can see, I have a lot of questions about the family when I didn't have them before, because I believed the family. I believed what the family was saying was true, and it wasn't until, time had gone on and people were starting to speculate, wait a minute, we're not really looking at the family. We're not really looking at the parents. And I'm like, you know what? We really never did. We just, because they were acting so, they acted like what we needed them to act. So much so we were comparing them to the, what a family looks like that are missing children versus what families look like that are not wanting to help, like the Wells family, so we had been comparing them so long. I don't think we ever did stop just to look at the mom or the father, Tyler. And these things were starting to come up, and it was starting to make me feel uncomfortable, because Brandy looked like she cared, and she looked like she was missing her son. She wasn't acting like Candace Bly. So it was really a hard pill for me to swallow, and why we put out the money to go out there to find out. And within 20 minutes, 30 minutes of me being on the ground, I knew without a doubt that we're not looking at mom and dad in this case. I knew that. But sometimes you just got to go out there to find the information.
They want to do it themselves. They want to keep the preservation of the case under wraps, the integrity of that case under wraps. They don't want people helping search or anything of that nature. And we're seeing a little bit of a different behavior for this particular law enforcement agency, where he seems very thorough. He seemed like he was trying to give us as much information as he possibly could, and he's actually asking and reaching out to the public for input and any information, any reliable source. And he did not condemn or shake his finger at the people that are trying to help, and the people that have called in, tips that weren't really legitimate. He's welcoming anything, because he believes it's going to be that small nugget that blows this case wide open.
And it was. And who I'm referring to here is JD Huff. He's the police chief out there. I don't know why I'm so bleached out on this, but I am. So he was out there in Fruitland, Idaho, the chief of police out there in Fruitland, Idaho, and just a nice guy. And he was welcoming. He wasn't one that you get sometimes you get the police officers that are just anti-social media. They condemn. They just treat us like crap. Then you got the other ones that are more open-minded and realize that, at the end of the day, if we can help, if we can get just one nugget of information, they're down like 4 flat tires. And that just shows you what ones that have arrogance and ones that do not. So it is my opinion. Just my opinion. So this is Justin for All. Many of you guys know him. We love him. I've traveled with him before. We've done cases before, boots on the ground cases before. Summer Wells, he was out there with me in Summer Wells. He was out there with me and Quentin Simon. We've done a lot of work together. Justin has a special place in my heart. He does things a little differently than me. He's obviously, I'm kind of a pit bull. He's kind of like, a nice, he's a Delilah, right? And I'm like a Kojak. Sometimes those things mix. Sometimes those things don't mix, right? So we always have a special place for Justin. But Justin has kept in contact with Brandy throughout all of this process. Again, me and Brandy's relationship was never, it was never a friendly type of relationship. It was more of a, I guess transactional business type. I came in, she gave me an interview type of thing. But I did care, I do care for her. I care for all of my victims' families, It's just that I work a little differently. I work at an arm's length. I always find that when I get a little too close to the family, I can't, work the way I like to work. A prime example is as me and Seth's relationship, right? I ended up getting too friendly, too close to the case, and it prevents me from saying certain things that I wouldn't normally hold back on because, the family listening and stuff like that. And, when I'm doing these cases, I have to be frank, I have to be honest. And sometimes those friendships with the family, cause some of that flowing of information not to be so free flowing. And I don't like it. I do at an extent. We always want to be, but I always try to get my mods or something to hold their hands as opposed to me holding their hands, because I need to be able to work. And whenever I need to say something, I can't be worrying about somebody's feelings and stuff like that. That's why I have beautiful, wonderful, gracious mods. They do an amazing job. They help me do a lot of different things. And we are very blessed here on the Bullhorn Betty channel to have the mods that we do, that do the work that they do, that always try to help. And they do. They try to help you guys. They try to help me. They try to help the victims' families. We got Sonia. She makes shirts. She makes sure that these missing people get a little sticker on the outside of the package. So no matter where they go, a UPS or FedEx driver is having to look at these missing folks and hopefully can see them out there in the wilderness, when they're delivering packages and whatnot. But we found out from Justin for All last night that Stacey Wandra, he was breaking it. Okay, mainstream media has not even had an opportunity to write a story about what he's breaking. So it sounded to me like Stacey Wandra was getting ready to be released from jail or being released from jail. And they didn't want him out on the streets, so they rearrested him. But this time they rearrested him. I don't know what the charges are. We haven't seen the official charges. But it sounds like the charges are going to be directly related to Michael Monkey Vaughn, to the murder, the kidnapping, and homicide of, Michael Monkey Vaughn, a beautiful 5-year-old boy that disappeared from Fruitland, Idaho, on July 27th, 2021, and has never been seen or heard from again. We didn't even know anything about his homicide until they're digging up the Wandra's freaking yard looking for his body. And they did not find it. It appeared that it had been moved. And I believe it had been moved sometime in September of 2021. And the reason why I feel that way is because when I was studying this case, and I didn't go back and review notes. These are things that are ingrained in my brain from reviewing this case and studying this case. I remember that you could see once we realized there was, Stacy and Sarah Wandra were these persons of interest, we kind of infiltrated their social medias. And we looked at all, we were just doing our sleuthing stuff. And we looked at all of their stuff, and you could see that, Sarah was just a nut job. It was weird. She's, wanting to be this ultra religious lady, right? This ultra religious lady, but she's doing things like smoking weed and other things, but she's removing TVs from her house, but she's picking up strange guys that she's, running taxis for and picking them up from the internet, or excuse me, from the airports and taking them to her home. Like weird stuff. But it wasn't that. The reason why I think something happened in September is her and Stacy Wandra ended up having to travel and take these dogs. I believe it was they were taking dogs from one area to Texas. And this was a major problem because I think that during this trip is when they transported Michael Monkey Vaughn someplace else. And I believe they did that on their trip because when they came back, it was like this epiphany, this release from Stacy, not Sarah, Stacy, about how he has been relieved of this, that, and the other. And that was in September of 2021. Well, if you look at their schedule, that was right in when they don't really do these long extended trips, but they took on this case that took them down to Texas. And I remember that, and it was when they came back from the trip from that is when Stacy felt relieved. He felt like, the weight has been lifted off his shoulder. God has come to save him. And all this is the weird stuff that they were writing on their social media, folks. Okay, this is not, if you think I've lost my shit, I haven't. This is the kind of crap that was being wrote on their social media, folks. This is not me being funny with you, okay? This is not me being funny with you. I think I might even still have some of those. I have to hook up my big data center. So if you guys don't know what my big data center is, this is my data center right here. This right here, okay? This is a 12 terabyte memory card. It a biggin, okay? This thing weighs a ton. This is the brains of the operation, okay? If something happens to this, the Bullhorn Betty channel is going down like the Titanic. I'm just saying, right? This has everything. If something happened to this, if this was wiped, that's everything. That's everything. This is 5 years. This is 5 years of the Bullhorn Betty channel right here. 5 years. Okay. That is the data center. That is the data center. That's wherever. That's the what do they call it? The boneyard, right? When you retire a boat, it goes out to the boneyard, right? So when we retire a case, it goes out. It goes into the vault. That's the vault that has all of our content. Our content used to be authentic to us. We've kind of been here for the last 2 years, and we need to start getting back out into the field, which as we finish up our Tennessee case, we will be getting back in the field. We're going to be doing a protest and gathering of voices in February for Sebastian Rogers. That's going to be, in all fairness, that's going to probably be when the Bullhorn Betty channel is going to be doing some updates on that case, but that's going to be kind of our official tap out of the case. It's what we did in the Summer Wells. We did the event at Hawkins County, and then we were kind of over the case. We've done the case as much as we can. Our conclusion of this case is something happened inside his home. His mother is responsible. I do believe he's deceased, and I do believe Chris Proudfoot came back from Mississippi to help her cover up the crime. That is the assessment of the Bullhorn Betty channel on the Sebastian Rogers case. But the problem that we're facing with the Sebastian Rogers case is the lack of cooperation from law enforcement. So law enforcement, where we have, for example, not to go into private conversations or communications, but I was just speaking to Jen Santinello, okay? Many of you guys know that's Layla Santinello had a hand in that case. Speak to her mother. We haven't really covered that case for a while. We went out there, did our searching. We couldn't make heads or tails of the case. We couldn't figure out where she was. We needed more details and we weren't getting them. So we ended up, her mom continued that. We still continued to run updates on that case. But at the end of the day, I just spoke to her mom just to get an update, how's the case going, check on her mom's mental health, these types of things. They go on for a long time. Many people don't realize, and it really wears on the family years and years and years. So she's doing as good as expected. They're keeping their stuff together. But check this out. Law enforcement is still having massive searches, frequent searches for Layla Santinello. Now, this is a person that they don't believe was, drug in and like a first degree homicide type of situation. They believe, potentially OD or something like that. Who knows? Maybe she was beaten or something. They do believe she's deceased, but they believe it has a lot to do with probably the substances that she was utilizing and what have you. But still, not where we think that this person's, a homicide victim. It seems like something else might have happened. And they still search for her. Still to this day, running searches. Sebastian Rogers got 8 days. Sumner County gave that poor little boy, a 15-year-old boy in Tennessee that has medical needs, 8 days. They have not done any other type of targeted search. Do you know how many targeted searches Kingsport, the city of Kingsport have done? Do you guys even know how many searches for Layla Santinello, one that they don't believe was a homicide, where somebody went out and just, found her, whatever. They've done like at least 7, 8, 9 different searches since her daughter disappeared. And we can't get but one search for Sebastian Rogers out of that piece of shit Sheriff Snuggle Struggles. We can't get one freaking additional search out of him. He can go up there and ask for raises for himself. He can ask for his office to be, rehabbed and redone. And he can wants to look like he's got it, right? Like that. But he doesn't want to go out there and ask for help. He doesn't want to go out there and ask for money to help search for Sebastian Rogers. I find that, Rennie, Ren. Where the heck did you come from? It's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well. But talk about bullcrap. That we have a child, not an adult. Now remember, when Layla Santinello disappeared, when she went missing, she was an adult. And we know how hard it is to get law enforcement to take adult cases seriously. And here we have Kingsport of all places. It's a very poor place. It doesn't have a whole lot of resources and money. And you're telling me that something like Kingsport can outperform a place like Sumner County? Don't tell me there's not corruption in Sumner County. Don't tell me there's not corruption in Sumner County. We need more good-hearted people, good Republicans, good statesmen to get involved in Sumner County politics. Mr. and Mrs. Car Guy might want to consider running for office. Mr. and Mrs. E. I'm serious. We need all the good people that want law and order to get involved in their politics there. I'm so happy to see Riley involved. I'm so happy to see that. It was like a blessing. Oh my gosh, that was a blessing. Snuck in for a quick peek. I'm leaving town for a while. Aw, well, you take care, love. You take care. Pete's up in the house too. It's nice to see you, love. So great news that we've learned from Justin, I was going to go live, but I saw the lab come up on his channel, and I realized that, I know there, because I've been working on these streets for so long that I know how this stuff works. So as soon as they were done there, I knew the lab was going to go live, which he did. And so I figured, you know what, we're usually morning crew anyways. We drop the tea in the morning, but this is great news. This is great news. We have Sarah Wandra behind bars still. We have Stacey Wandra that was just arrested on charges related to Michael Monkey Vaughn, it sounds like. We haven't seen the official charging. Maybe we have. Hold on here. Let me see if we've got the official charging. Give me just a second. Let me just check. So it hasn't even hit the it hasn't even hit the news yet. The mainstream media is a little, well, mainstream media usually, sorry, I'm all glittery and stuff like that. I was working with my my thing, and I probably shouldn't. I think I was working with my sharpening skills. Hold on, let me see if I can get maybe it was the sharpening that did that to me. Let me take the sharpening out. Huh? No, it's not. Huh. I did a mask blend. I don't need that. Let's go ahead and move that. Delete that. I don't know what that did. So. Is that better? It's a little better. That's a little better. Okay. I'm not so glittery. Not so glittery. But I'm still washed out. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. I'm about to work with the camera. Probably the camera. I'm going to change out my camera. I was sparkling. I'm trying not to be so sparkly, okay? I know I'm bright. I know I'm bright.
That was bullshit.
And Blessed Nana reminds us, Happy Friday, you mother! Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that online? All right, let me adjust it just a little bit more. Maybe we can get it just a little bit more. Maybe we can almost get it perfect. Almost. Let's see what we got going on here. Go to my chroma key. Let's see. Can we get down? Get down downtown. Come on. Glittery, go away. Okay, I think we're getting there. Glittery under the arms, but not on the clothes. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. We'll try it this way. See how well we do. We'll try it this way. No promises, folks. No promises. Let me see if I can take this up. Let me see. Let's take all that. Let's make it my head. Why not? I got a big head. Hey. I'm just joking. Okay. So even the news doesn't have the info yet. Okay, folks. So we don't have it. How happy? Oh, it is. TGIF is Halloween. Oh. Well, and it's Melanie's brother's birthday. So we have TGIF, Happy Halloween, and Happy Birthday! I wish I had those little things that I can just like go boop and put like a boop. Wait, skull over my eyes. All right, guys. Well, now that I'm not glittery or glowy anymore, I fixed myself. Look at that. Not too bad. It's not too bad. I think I can dig this. I'm going to have to put I just don't like, I do these things. I don't like the thing over my head. I don't know. I see people and I think, oh, they look so cute with those things over their head. I don't want to look like that. I don't know why. I love this. I do too. But we're kind of starting early today. Everybody's like, That's great. All right, guys, let's get back to it. Okay, so now we got the great news that we've been waiting for literally years. It looks like the house of cards are finally toppling in on the Wandra crew. Okay, that's Stacy Wandra, Sarah Wandra, uh, Adrian Lucien, and Brandon Shirtliff. Adrian and Brandon have been able to stay out of jail during all of this time, while Stacy and Sarah have been in jail. I truly believe that Stacy and Sarah have problems upstairs. I really do. They something doesn't seem right with them, okay? Other than that, it's all I'm really going to say about it. I don't want to be too overly disrespectful, just my opinion, okay? I truly believe that they've got, both of them have something not right upstairs. I don't believe the same being for Brandon or Adrian. I think that they are very manipulative. Now, I don't know what happened to this child. I can only assume that it was horrible, right? I can only assume what any adult would need with a kidnapped child. To think a woman was involved in all of this is disgusting, but I think she was part of the problem. Anyways, they've been the ones that have predominantly been in jail, right? They have been the ones, it was Stacy and Sarah that kind of got into a fight with themselves, threw each other in jail somehow, some way. Some other person was in their house, threw Sarah in jail. There was a gun, firearm, whatever the case may be. And they went to jail, and they've been in jail pretty much bouncing in and out this entire time. There was a point when Stacy got out and he did an interview and professed his innocence and basically blamed everybody else, basically said all three of the other people are the ones that left the house. He was there all by himself. He has nothing to do with this. He has nothing to do with that, whatever. That's his story. He is sticking to it. Well, now he's back in jail. Sarah's back in jail. He's being charged with stuff related to Michael Monkey Vaughn. If he's being charged with stuff related to Michael Monkey Vaughn, then she's going to be charged with stuff related to Michael Monkey Vaughn. It's only going to be a matter of time before they start rounding up Adrian and Brandon. And they know where they are. I believe Adrian might be in California, and I believe Brandon may still be in North or South Dakota. It's wherever his dad lives, I believe, is where he was at when Jonathan Lee Riches gave him that interview. We'll find out. I'll have to go back and review that. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate for you guys, or you guys allowing me to bend your ear, tell you guys this breaking news. This is good news. I'm monitoring this like what now? Like we had a lot. I'll have to go back and dust off some footage because we were out there. I got raw my own footage. Okay. We'll go out there. I'll have to go through my stuff and get everything organized, and I'll start pumping out some videos for the people that have not been able to or forgot a little bit of the details of this case. This is where we excel. We go boots on the ground. We've got true content of searching for this young boy, looking at the maps, looking at the area, looking at potential escape routes, where they could have went, what they could have done. And again, this was all before we knew who we were really looking for. So I will dust that stuff off and get some of that stuff pumped out. So be on the lookout for any type of, content like that. And that'll get you guys up to date on where we went and what type of footage we got. All right, guys, so there's also another major case going on right now out of California. We've been covering it. I'm not sure how to quite cover it because this case has really sparked something in my being where my inner political activism is starting to come out because I have questions, folks. Okay. This is about the Melodee Buzzard case, and I don't like how I'm feeling from the state. Okay. I feel like a dirty, you know, astute. You guys get what I'm saying? Like streetwalker. I feel like a dirty streetwalker. Okay. That's what I feel like whenever I touch this case. I feel like something's not right. I'm trusting my gut instinct. I don't really, I know that there's probably people that aren't trusting my gut instinct. I'm listening to mainstream media all over the place. I don't like how they're covering the case, but that's how they're covering the case. I'm not mainstream media. I'm alternative media. I'm social media. And I look at these cases a lot differently than a news organization looks at these cases. And I'm having some problems. I'm really kind of struggling here with my need to protect children over my need to protect parental rights. And that's where I'm at. I'm very conflicted over the Melodee Buzzard case. And there's a lot of reasons why I am conflicted over this case. And it was because at first I was very angry at this case. I was very angry at Ashlee Buzzard. I thought Ashlee Buzzard unalived her child. I thought Ashlee Buzzard unalived her child a year ago. And the noose was kind of, coming around her neck, and she needed to get rid of evidence. And I thought she rented a car and went halfway across the country to dispose of her child. That's what I originally thought based on the information coming out from law enforcement. So now that I've had an opportunity to see this child, put my eyeballs on this child, right? And that's what we did because law enforcement released some footage from this child. It unnerved me a little bit because I know how manipulative our government can be. And right now I'm looking at this case under a different lens because of what has now transpired. So when we first got into this case, again, we were told this child had been missing for over a year. Nobody has seen this child in over a year. And all of a sudden, mom takes off for 3 days and child's nowhere to be found. They would not tell us whether this child was alive on October 7th. It just seemed like law enforcement has been playing games, which we are normally accustomed to games when we're dealing with death investigations, because in death investigations they can't really be forthcoming with details like they can in a missing person case. But there's something about this missing person case that's not sitting right with me. And now I'm feeling like, that the county and state out here is giving this woman the squeeze. And I kind of, when I start feeling these things, oh, TD Dean, it's nice to see you. Good morning. And when I start seeing certain things being realized in cases, you guys know I'm vocal about them. So before, I wasn't feeling good about Ashlee Buzzard. I felt like her daughter was deceased. I felt like the details that we were receiving from law enforcement, could we trust law enforcement, were very concerning. Even at first, when we heard that the child had been seen on October 7th, I was like, okay, well, is this child alive? Was this child seen? And we started talking about, Jennifer and Madeline Soto and Stephen Stearns, that case there, and how they said, they saw Madeline with Stephen that morning. And then come to find out, yes, they did see her, but they knew she was deceased because they could see her deceased in the back seat of the car. But they didn't tell us that. They just said that, Stephen Cern was observed with her, much like what they said with her. So naturally, I'm having PTSD from, Madeline Soto's case and, some of the statements our Florida law enforcement said about her case. And then now we're looking at this case and they're saying some of the same information about this case, right? That this child hasn't been seen in a year. What is that doing? We're having PTSD on Harmony Montgomery, right? Our minds go straight to like a case like Harmony Montgomery. Oh my gosh, this child hasn't been seen in over a year. We know how this is going to turn out. I even said, we know how this is going to turn out, right? We're never going to see this child again. This child's going to be deceased. Well, as information comes out, I started questioning it because I'm not just, me. I just don't take anybody's word for it. Not even law enforcement's. especially law enforcement, because they got a job to do, and we have a job to do, and our job is to fact find law enforcement. Our job is to fact find information. Our job is to fact find, suspect. Our job is to fact find. That's what we try to do here. We try to fact find. So now we went from this child not being, and then we started hearing some stories about, the family. The family started filling in a lot for us, okay? Both sides of the family, her mother as well as the other paternal grandmother, whatever her name is, Meza, Rubiel Meza's mom, grandmother, the deceased father's mother. And then that started filling in some of the information. And so it started becoming very clear to me that this woman has been through a lot, okay? When you go back and listen to the mental health break that they are talking about, this didn't happen recently. This happened years ago, okay? Years ago. This happened years ago when this mother had a baby, lost her significant other. They're calling him her husband. I don't think they were married, but they may have been. But let's say husband, right? Lost her husband 6 months after giving birth to his child. Okay, I can't imagine mentally how any of you guys would be, let alone a mother that's now a single mother taking care of a child. But this wasn't her only child. She had another child named Destiny that we learned about. We don't know where Destiny is, but Destiny is not in her care. So we can assume that she's got PTSD from that. Okay? Does she have mental illness? I don't know. I don't know whether she has mental illness or not. I don't know if she's suffering from PTSD. I don't know. But what I do know is I saw a child on an image from a rental car place that shows a healthy child. Shows a healthy child that's not skin and bones. I didn't observe any abuse on that child. No bruising type of abuse. The child did not look neglected. Looked healthy. Seemed like she was minding her mother. I'm looking at these things and I'm thinking, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? You tell the whole world that this child has not been seen in over a year. You imply basically this child is deceased. And then we come to find out that this child really isn't missing. That when you guys reported this child missing is when the mother that has full rights to make decisions for this child left the state, took this child somewhere, and came back to the state without the child. And now you guys are all up in arms telling this woman she needs to tell you where her child is. Like, I'm having some major problems with how this whole thing is working out. This is looking very, very stinky to me, okay? And maybe it doesn't look stinky to you, but it looks very stinky to me. Because they told us this child had not been seen by that school for 2 years. When this story broke, she hadn't been seen by the family or the school in 2 years. Then we find out, wait a minute, the school just saw her August of 2025, just a few months ago. She was signed up for homeschooling when she took her down to the school just a few months ago. So now everything up to this point that got us all of our attention, got this thing viral, this entire case viral because we thought we had another Harmony Montgomery case, we're finding out that law enforcement did not tell us the truth and the school did not tell us the truth until this case went viral. And then it's like, well, we did kind of see the child back in August. Oh, and by the way, this child hasn't been missing for a year. She was with her mother just on October 7th. 7 days before we filed a missing person. Everybody keeps saying, I can't believe the mother's out here pulling up missing person signs. Like we're going to be going over Ashlee Banfield, and she's like, this is not normal. You don't usually have a mother that comes out here ripping up missing persons. She's not missing her child. I think is the problem I'm having here. Is to me, it doesn't seem like Ashlee, she didn't report her child missing. She took her child out of town on the 7th. She returned 3 days later on the 10th. Now, who does not, do you not have the right to take your child out of state Do you need to call your Secretary of State to ask them for permission so you can take your child? You see where I'm going with this? I'm having a problem. They better start coming up and answering some damn questions here, because I feel like this woman is getting shafted by the state of California, and I want to know why. We were told this child hadn't been seen in a year by anybody, or more than a year by anybody, including the school. That was a lie. That is a lie. That is untrue. Then they say, oh, well, she hasn't done her work in 2 months. How do we know that's the truth? Because the schools already lied to us. They said they hadn't seen the child in almost 2 years. Now it's, oh, we saw her in August. Oh, by the way, she hasn't completed any school assignments. Wait a minute. That was, you just saw her in August. That was 2 months ago. Are you telling me that you guys have never assigned her any kind of work since she signed up, since she was at the school to sign up for this? Sounds like this is a paperwork issue to me. It sounds like maybe mom forgot to sign something and the school forgot to put assignments in her queue. Or something to that effect. Somebody needs to answer those questions, because that's what it's starting to sound like to me. And so are we really causing a viral case, a woman that took her child to a different state, most likely Iowa, where she's ran off before? She needs the state's permission. Now, mind you, she's not under any court order from the state of California. She has full rights and to make decisions on her daughter. For years, nobody's done anything to try to find her or force her to produce this child, and then all of a sudden everybody wants this child to be seen, and it's as soon as she takes this child over the state lines, which she had every right to do. I'm on a different, God forbid if this child is deceased, I will feel absolutely horrible, but at the end of the day, we've done a lot of missing children cases, and this is not feeling like anything for me that I've ever covered on this channel. Something is not right here with this whole story. And I keep going back, what doesn't make sense? It's everything. It's the story of how this case got viral. Because everything we learned about this case is untrue, right? Everything that we heard about this case early in the process is untrue. This child has not been missing for over a year. This child was completely observed alive on footage on October 7th with her mother, where she was supposed to be. So again, does the state really have rights to force her to tell them? I think she should tell them I would be scared at this point to tell the state of California where her child is, because the state of California clearly wants the child. Okay, they're trying to make a move to get the child. That's what I'm looking at here. They want the child. For whatever reason, they just woke up one day and said, oh, we're going to take this child. And she's like, I'm smelling that they're trying to take my child. Let me get my child out of Dodge, right? That's what I'm seeing here. That's what the evidence that I'm finding is painting for me. And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, let's strip this down. What has she done to provoke law enforcement being in her shit? I can't think of anything. There was no cops at her house. There's no allegations of child abuse going on. Nobody's challenged her mental health in years, right? She's had this child for years. And the story that brought this case to our attention ended up being untrue. When she returned, she was packing for a move. I wouldn't want to put my child through a move in my... Yeah, again, what crime did she commit to get this kind of unwanted attention from her government? That's what I want to know. And so far, I can't get a straight answer. I can't get a straight answer from the school, and I can't get a straight answer from the investigative body. Okay? And now we've got all of mainstream media up in arms trying to find this child, trying to help apply pressure for law enforcement. And my position is much different. Like, law enforcement, you have to have a right to be in somebody's shit. Okay? We're all about being intrusive. We're all about, when we have problems, we want law enforcement to get right on in there, right? We give them the ability to do that, but we also expect them to do that responsibly. And it would have been responsibly if this child was gone for a year, right? We would say, okay, this is warranted if this child was gone for a year. But we're finding out that that's not the case. That the person that has the responsibility for that child had that child, made a decision for that child, which they're entitled to do, took that child out of the state, which they're entitled to do. You know, I'm still trying to find out why we're here. Why is the state of California up this woman's craw? And if it has to do with schoolwork and them thinking that this child was deceased, well, we know that this child is not deceased. This child was observed with her mother where she's supposed to be on October 7th. So why do we have the state of California in her shit? Our mom does, you know, but if her mom truly thought she had mental illness, why would her mother not go over there to check on her grandchild? Doesn't make sense. Sounds like her mother just doesn't want to deal with it. And I don't have a whole lot of respect for Lori Miranda to begin with, okay? There's something about her mom I don't like. Now, was her mom abusive to her growing up? I don't know. But there's just something, like, her whole explanation on why she couldn't go see her daughter or her grandchild was full of shit. Okay? I'm going to call her out just like that. I don't trust Lori. I think she knows exactly where her granddaughter is. I think she knows why her daughter runs to Iowa. I think it's part of her family. And I think Lori has a lot of information she's withholding. So if she's lying about other things, why would I believe her on this whole thing with the mental illness? She's got mental illness. I just can't deal with it. I just can't deal with it. And I'm in counseling too, you know, to deal with her stuff. I didn't like that. Like, I mean, I know how my mom, it's not like I was not a difficult child, okay? I don't know why my mom had another child after me. I still can't figure it out. I mean, we're thankful to Taylor. Taylor, we love you. But I don't know what my mama was thinking. I put that woman slap through hell, okay? And there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was God's worst enemy to a parent, and she decided that wasn't enough. She loved it so much she went for round 3. Yeah, I get it, alcoholic. I mean, I know that this is not going to be a popular, and I respect your opinion on it as well as I hope you respect mine, but there's just something that's stinky here. We've done a lot of these cases with these children. And usually when law enforcement tells us a child's been gone for a year, they've been gone for a year, okay? It's very, very rare that we have law enforcement telling us nobody has seen this child for a year to 2 years, and then boom, well, she's happy and healthy with her mom a week before we forced this missing person report. I mean, like, the reason why mom's not cooperating is she doesn't have a missing kid. This is being force-fed down her throat, force-fed down the community's throat, and it was all based on a preface, on a lie. This child wasn't missing for a year. And if she did just sign up, it sounds like this is what I heard. I heard that if this one affidavit is not signed, then you're not assigned work. So it sounds to me like she forgot to sign an affidavit for her daughter or put it back in, and it sounds like they never assigned her daughter the work. It doesn't sound like she didn't take her child to the school or she didn't, willfully withheld her daughter. It sounds like there was a paperwork issue that triggered all of this. That's what it looks like from where I'm sitting. And if that's the case, like, you know what? Screw the damn state. You come knocking at my door when my child's not missing or tell me I gotta tell you. I mean, think about a state telling me I gotta tell them where my freaking kid is when I've done nothing wrong. Who the do you think you are? Are you flipping kidding me? I'm trying to be fair here, but you know what? In cases that we cover of missing children, when have you ever seen me talk like this? It's all about getting involved. It's all about getting in their business. It's all about applying pressure. You guys know that. There's something different with this case, and I don't like it. And maybe you guys aren't paying attention to it, but I certainly am. I certainly am. Typically, when we have a child missing for a year, that child's missing for a year. We don't see them in a CCTV footage looking happy and healthy with their mother in a disguise trying to get them out of Dodge. That sounds like somebody that knows that the state's trying to take their damn kid. And I'm trying to figure out why. And so far, they're saying it's over schoolwork. And when you dig a little deeper and you look under the hood, you find out that there's there's some type of affidavit that her mom forgot to fill out. And it's like, wait a minute. They just wrote a thing that's saying if this affidavit's not filled out, they're not assigned the thing. This must be the 2 months that they're talking about. They never assigned this girl 2 months worth of work, and they realized, wait a minute, we haven't assigned her 2 months of work, and she hasn't done 2 months of work. This was a phone call. This wasn't a freaking wellness check. You know, and it sounds like they did make the phone call. Maybe the mom didn't want to answer it, or for whatever reason. We don't know. And that's where the problem is. But in California, you got to show negligence. I'm not seeing negligence here. Like, I'm looking at the definitions, the lawful definitions of them being able to do this, and I can't figure out how the hell this law enforcement body or this court is doing this. And here's why. I'm going to take you guys over. You guys will understand here in just a second. Where is it? Is it Jennifer? No, it's Nancy. Where's Jennifer? There it is. Here's Jennifer. So this is Jennifer Coffindaffer. Many of you guys know I have high regard for her. I don't necessarily, agree 100% with her, but it's her opinion. It's her opinion based on her experience, right? I can only do experience, have my opinion based on my experiences. So it doesn't mean that because we had these experiences and this is our experience that this is what we're going to deal with. But I digress. So Jennifer Coffindaffer had this guy on. I loved what he said. He really broke down the law. And I want you guys to hear this because it's super, super important information, especially about this topic, and you guys will kind of understand where I'm coming from. Now, granted, we try to listen to law enforcement, and it's not like I think law enforcement is totally wrong here. We want them, when there is a threat, we want them to jump into action. But in a situation like this, nothing they said to us is panned out. Like, if they thought this child was gone for a year, as soon as they realized this child wasn't, that was the end of the conversation. But they pushed it even further because they're in this woman's crawl. Now they want to put eyes on this child. It's like, wait a minute. How are you going to force somebody to like, they don't have any, as soon as that child was over the state line, I don't even know if they have jurisdiction over that child anymore. They have jurisdiction over mom. Like, I'm from a legal, like my legal brain, and I know people that are attorneys probably can figure this out, but my legal brain, my poor little legal brain is in a quagmire here. It's all bound up because I'm just trying to lawfully and legally figure out how all this stuff, because usually I don't have to ask these questions because the probable cause is there. But the probable cause went away as soon as this child wasn't missing for a year. Oh, you guys understand that? I mean, that was their probable cause. She was gone for a year. She's not gone for a year. She wasn't gone for a year. Where's the negligence? Where is the probable cause to force this woman to produce her child? I wish more legal minds would be on the same bandwagon as me here, because when the story was this child hadn't been seen in years, that was probable cause. When we realized this child was happy, healthy, and in good health and good spirits with her own mother just a week before this missing person case came about. And all she's failing to do is speak to law enforcement, which has no probable cause to even question her. Guys, I'm telling you, like, think about it like this. If you are driving your car down the road, you broke no laws. Your brake lights are working, your tag lights are working, you're using your blinker, but some jack-off officer pulls you over and they ask you for your license and registration. They have to have probable cause to even ask for your license. So if you never committed a crime, you could basically throw him a bird and drive off unless he can produce to you probable cause to request your driver's license. And this is something, this is one thing that was drilled into my head when I went to paralegal school, when I got my paralegal degree. So even law enforcement that pull you over and you're required to read that back of your driver's license. You're required to produce that when they ask, but they have to have probable cause to ask for it. And if they don't, they can't. So I'm having a hard time. Sorry, that was T to T and messed up my words. Oh, that's okay. We do, trust me, I'm a talk to texter. We just read. When we can't figure out what it is, I just read it and see if it makes sense, because I'm a talk to texter too. The situation of people's opinions seems to be so contradicting to me, and I say that with all due respect. You know, I love you. I get it. But in this particular case, but all the other cases, we did have probable cause. In this case, I'm struggling with the probable cause aspect of it, because originally the probable cause was nobody saw this child in a year. That is, you know, somebody at the school dropped the ball and realized this child hasn't been in contact with the school in months, to a year. And that wasn't true. Come to find out, she was seen and observed by the teachers, by the school in August. Like everything that they told us originally ended up not panning out, ended up not holding water. So I'm just, yeah, but you say you want more, and I do. That being homeschooled, yet you don't feel a mom should show her. No, I did not say her mom shouldn't show her child. That's not what I said. I think at this point, mom needs to produce the child. You at this stage of the game, there's going to be a court order at some point to produce the child. Okay. No, I do believe she needs to produce the child. My new argument in this is, what was the probable cause to be up her crawl to begin with? At this stage of the game, you know, we've got this case has gone viral. I mean, she's going to have to produce the kid, whether she wants to or not. And I'm scared to death for her to produce the kid, because I think the state's going to try to make a move to take that child away from her. And I don't know necessarily if that's the best move. And I've been very public about my opinion on that. I think this family needs more resources. You know, we have truly abusive households where children are in danger of losing their life. And I don't believe this is the household, right? Yet all these resources are being produced for this household, and all the houses that really do need these type of resources are missing them. But no, yeah, you did misunderstood slightly. Oh, well, go. Mama Bear at 10. I love it. So yeah, I do believe she needs to produce the child at this point. That's really not. That's really a given, you know. And I want her to produce the child, because I want to know whether I'm right or wrong, you know. And I'm hoping that this child's alive. We get into a lot of these cases, and you know, that's just not the case. And why we want, you know, law enforcement to be involved. You know, but there's also that thin line of government overreach, and it's like, okay, well, we misunderstood the information, and that sounds like what happened. You know, they misunderstood the information. They put this out there. It got all, you know, all these people, and the mom's terrified of losing her child, right? She's got PTSD over this. The only other time she ever took this child out of the state was when Rubiel, the child's deceased father's family, tried to take the child from her. So this child, her being removed from her mother, is what's triggering her being taken out of state. Okay, so that's the problem I have. She has PTSD that this state wants to take her kid, and she's scared. And I think that's what's preventing her from being honest about where her child is, because I believe that's the whole purpose of her taking this child out of the state to begin with, is to keep the child from being taken from her. But anyways, let's get over here. I want you guys to hear this because I think it's super important. It really does clarify a lot of my issues. It's with this guy right here. I can't remember his name, but Jennifer Coffindaffer, this is not the first time she's had this guy on. It's not the first time I've seen this guy's face. I just wish I remembered his name a little bit better.
It was 10.
Oh, no.
She may be detained. Nobody's seen hide nor hair of her.
Oh, and I did want to give you guys an update because this is breaking news and this goes directly to the case, okay? So, we heard that there was an order to produce Melodee, okay? And I don't think there's probable cause to arrest her, because I think if there was probable cause to arrest her, they would have arrested her. I think I'm kind of right on this talking point, which nobody else is really talking about, which I say, I feel like I might be right on this. But again, we analyze these cases. That's what we do. I just give you guys my true blue opinion of where I think we're going, whatever, sometimes it's right. Sometimes it's polar opposite. Sometimes it's way, way, way wrong. But for the most part, we have a great batting average on this channel, a very, very high and good batting average, one that I'm very proud of. And there are a few times when we do just get it wrong. We face plant on a case, but thank God it's very few and far between. With this particular case, like I was explaining to Mama Bear, is I don't understand. I mean, I understand why they originally were involved. They were originally involved because the child hadn't been seen for a year. That's why they were originally involved. What they failed to understand is that the mother doesn't trust anybody and has basically kicked everybody out of and that's her prerogative. She does not have to be sociable. She does not have to have a relationship with her family. She does not have to bring her child around anybody she does not choose to bring that child around. She has those choices as a mom, okay? Just like you have your choices to decide where your child or your grandchildren, when they're in your custody, where they go and what they can do. This mother does too. And obviously, there's a lot of pain in this family, whether it had to do with just Rubiel dying or some other things that have happened, after this child was born. But either way, there has been a family breakdown, okay? This mother wanted nothing to do with his side of the family or her own side of the family. And that, again, is her prerogative. Still, no probable cause. No probable cause that I see for what we were dealing with. However, with this child being missing for a year, to me, that is probable cause. With this child being missing for 2 months, to me, that is probable cause. Okay? I'm not disputing that those would ensure probable cause. But that's not the case we're dealing with. They opened up a missing child case when this child was observed 1 week prior to with her mother, with no explanation on why they are trying to find this child. They feel that this child is in danger. With what evidence? That's my point. Is where's the evidence to say anything to support this investigation? Usually we have something we can put our finger on. I'm not seeing it here. That's my problem. We're hearing the same song and dance that we normally hear with any missing child, folks. I'm not disputing that. We're putting her face on our show. We're saying we need to look for her. We need to find her. Whatever the case may be. I'm still struggling with the probable cause aspect of this. Why are we here? Because I think of my audience, right? Especially you, Mama Bear. Like, I think of you when I'm asking these questions, because what happens if law enforcement just decides one day that one of your children, they want to know, this, that, or the other, and normally you would say I'd have no problem with that, but what if they're trying to take your child away from you for no reason? What if you've done nothing wrong and all of a sudden you've got the entire world coming into your home. I mean, there, I don't want it to get to a point where parents are having to call their states to ask permission to take their children out of the state. Like, I have two messages here, right? I want our children to be happy and healthy and thrive, and I want our eyes to always be on these children. But I also want our law enforcement to act in good faith, right? And when you start realizing that the story that you originally told the world is not true, not even slightly, well, that changes the dynamic of it. It sounds like they made a mistake, but now that this mistake has been made, they still need to put their eyes on this child. I get it. I want this child to be found. I want to know that this child is healthy, and that, in the grand scheme of things, that I analyzed this absolutely correctly. But I still have fear that they're trying to take this child away from her mother, and I have fear that her mother is concerned about that. And that's exactly why we're in this situation. I see that, but if I'm taking meds or something suspicious situation for my children's safety, then it's needed. But there was no order of the court, there's no order of the court, though. So even if you were taking medication and the courts thought that that was a concern and they wanted to monitor you a little bit further or a little bit more, that's one thing. But once you're released from the courts, once you're no longer in the systems, you have full right and full reign to make the decisions for your children, unobstructed or without permission of a court. And this is a situation where we don't know if she's on medication. We have her mother, which in my opinion hasn't been truthful about a few things, so we have to question her truthfulness and everything. And the other side of the family tried to take this child, tried to adopt this child, not help the mom, not find support, give additional support for the mom to keep this child in the home. No, his family tried to take her daughter and adopt her and take her out of the custody of her own mother. I'm sorry. I don't know how you feel about that, but I would feel a little jaded if a family can come into my home and try to take my child, but not provide me any help to raise my child. That would piss me off too. So, I mean, this is a slippery slope, folks. In my opinion, this is a slippery slope. I want more information on why we're here. I think we, the public, should be demanding it. We also should be demanding our children to be safe, but we also need to make sure we're protecting parental rights as well. And I feel like this particular case is dancing on a whole lot of stuff right now. And it's making me feel all kinds of uncomfortable. And I get, the fear factor. I'm fearful. I'm concerned about this child. I'm concerned about this child. I'm going to keep saying I'm concerned about this child. At this point, this child needs to be produced. But I still don't see why in the hell why we're here. Why is this a national news case? This sounds like it sounds to me like this child should very, very easily be found by law enforcement. This is an area that she went to before. They have her car, they have her phone, they have subpoenas. They should be able to tell whether there was a secondary phone traveling with her. They should be able to tell if she used a signal, whether the message has been deleted or not. They should be able to see on her phone and through the path of travel whether she used any of these services, who she was communicating with when she got to point A or point B. Did any other phone come near her phone? Was it, were they in the same radius within 20 feet of each other or 20 steps of each other? Like, law enforcement should have a lot of information, especially with the FBI and the U.S. Marshals involved. And I keep hearing the same thing. She's most likely with somebody that she knows that doesn't realize this is going on, that we're trying to search for this child. None of it is telling us that they believe this child is deceased or in harm's way, not once whatsoever. I haven't heard that out of law enforcement's mouth, not yet, not once. And I don't like feeling when a woman is getting the shaft. You guys know how I feel. I feel this woman is getting the shaft in part. Is it warranted? I don't know. I don't know if it's warranted. I don't know if all of this is warranted. Why? Because law enforcement and the school hasn't really been forthcoming, and their story has changed. I'm usually accustomed to the parents' story changing. Okay? And here we have law enforcement story changing. Okay, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm just saying, usually the stuff that I am dealing with here, I'm dealing with it from the parents. And here I'm dealing with all of this stuff from the school and law enforcement. I don't like the way this is looking. I don't like the way this is feeling. I'd like some more clarification on why we're here. Does anybody believe that this child is in harm's way? If so, why? Because so far I haven't seen anything other than it looks like a paperwork issue at the school. Sorry, I'm just saying. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks like to me. But let's listen to this. This is interesting.
Has the answers. Let's talk a little bit about it. Of course, keeping in mind this breaking news that she may be detained as we speak. Go ahead, Philip.
Well, where do I begin?
Let's
Let's
be more pointed. I'm going to be more pointed. Philip, it was 10/7. We know a search warrant was served on 10/15 at the house. And here we are on 10/30, 15 days later, and possibly she was taken in. But why post search warrant with her missing now for 2 weeks? Why can't law enforcement do anything?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, they can't.
Why can't law enforcement do anything? You heard her, right? They still haven't arrested this mother yet. Okay? If they could lawfully arrest this mother, in my opinion, they would have arrested her. Okay? So it's telling me that even the courts are saying, there's something not right here. I'm sorry. I'm trusting my gut on this. I'm going to express what I see, what I feel to all of you guys, unafraid and unabated. It may differ from the professionals. It may differ from mainstream media. This is one time that I'm not going with the flow of things. Okay, I'm not going to parrot what mainstream media is parroting out there, because I've got some serious questions about this entire process, and I want those questions answered. Because one thing I want people that are doing things to their kids to be held accountable. But I also want to make sure that this is not a blank check for our government to violate parental rights. And please don't get me wrong. I don't think the mother needs to be arrested. I don't think that the tire needs to be removed, that the child. Yeah. I think you know what, to be honest with you, Mama Bear, I think you and I are spot on with our assessment on here, just probably communicated differently, because I think you're right there with me. I don't think she needs to be arrested or this child needs to be removed. I mean, if the child needs to be removed, the child needs to be removed, okay? But we know that we see where the Department of Children and Family Services time and time again removes children from homes that need additional resources, not a child removed, and keeps the child in violent homes where they end up losing their life. I feel like it's on a wheel. This is one of those cases where I'm not seeing the physical child abuse, and I'm not seeing a child skin and bones either. I'm seeing a mom, put a wig on her daughters. That tells me she's terrified of something. Okay? Parents don't typically, do that. It just gives me a whole different level of, and everybody's trying to play it off like it's her mental illness is her mental illness, but I can't see one example of mental illness where she's put her daughter in harm's way, except when her daughter was previously taken from her years ago, by the way, years ago. And it sounds like her and her daughter have been just fine living life for years. And then all of a sudden, boom, here we go again. For what? It sounds like it's a paperwork issue at the school. it's hard for me. I try to be as fair of these things, but one thing I don't like is a woman getting the shaft. You guys know I'm all about empowering women, and I am the first one to take a bus and run over a woman, especially if she's hurting a child. And while I don't think that this is like a household that I was brought up in, um, does it warrant a child being removed from the home? I haven't seen anything to justify this child being removed. This is not similar to, I don't think it is, because nobody knew where those children were. I mean, we have an address, a prior address from her in Iowa. We have Rubiel's family saying when they tried to adopt Melodee previously, she took off out of state. So that tells us why she was in Iowa to begin with, years ago. Then we find out that she's potentially, potentially going to lose this child again, and she heads in the same direction that she ran off before. That tells me her mother knows, because her and her mother were still kicking it back then, right? And her mother told Rubiel's side of the family to leave and never come back to her house when they were trying to find her daughter. She knew her daughter had already left the state, and she knew it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Lori Miranda knows why her daughter went to Iowa, to Marshalltown, Iowa, back when Rubiel's family was trying to get the child the first time. She knows why she went to that direction this time. Everything, if mom's not going to cooperate, go hit up grandma. Grandma knows. Grandma knows. She's a little older. You can rattle her cage. She's going to be the weaker link, okay? Grandma's going to be the weaker link. Go rattle her cage. You're probably going to get a little bit further with her, I'm just saying. Let's listen to this guy.
But in order to take any action whatsoever, it would have to be on one of two tracks. One is the criminal tract, where if they have probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed against the child, such as an abduction, any type of physical abuse.
That's not here. They have no, they don't even have the allegation of physical abuse here.
Sexual abuse, and of course, God forbid, a homicide. And in fact, I don't even think they need a warrant for that. As long as they have probable cause, they can just go take her in.
So they can't possibly.
But if they don't have probable cause to arrest or to even get a warrant, what they can do is try to get her into the dependency courts.
So now you know why she's in those dependency courts, why this is all going through the dependency court, is because they don't have probable cause a crime was ever committed. So and this is something you're not hearing from the News Nation episodes, and again, I was hopeful to hear somebody with some reason coming out and saying, hey, this doesn't sound right. Not just getting along to get along with law enforcement. Something is not right here, okay? And it's showing in the court proceedings. If they were up the right alley, they would have already had her under arrest. They do not. I mean, it's been freaking, this child came 21 days ago, okay? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. This lady's still not arrested. Okay, that's telling me that there's some issues going on in the court proceedings. There's no other in my opinion, there's no other explanation for it. But let's keep listening.
The dependency courts are civil courts where judges declare minors under the age of 18 wards of the court upon evidence that the child is either abused, abandoned, or neglected.
Abused?
Neglect does not mean impoverished.
Abused, abandoned, or neglected. Abused, abandoned, or neglected. Folks, none of these things exist. This is what I'm talking about. We're looking for a child for law enforcement when, in my opinion, they don't have probable cause to be looking for her just yet. Now, did they when she was gone for months and years? Yes. But we learn that is not the case. And nobody has provided me a good explanation on why we are here. Well, it could be abandoned, not for 6 months. not she's going to go through that too. It's going to take 6 months for her to be deemed abandoned. She was just with her on October 7th. So I don't think that they're. I think law enforcement is acting outside of the lines. I don't know. Like I told you guys, I pick up on some things, and I'm just something ain't right with. We cover too many damn missing children cases that when something isn't right, we're so used to chugging. It sounds lazy, but in all fairness, usually most of our cases are just, a same story, different face, different location, and a few different details, but it's pretty much the same story from one case to another. And when you're expected to chug along like you normally do, chug, because it's the same story, just different names, right? All you got to do is remember the new names. And it's like, wait a minute, this is not the same. This is not like you just keep getting caught up on something. It's like, this is not flowing like our normal cases are flowing. And I'm sorry, I noticed those things because I got a shit ton of checklists back here. Like, we pick up these things. Look at this. She's got a file. Like, you guys see this? Like, I make a file. I don't know if you guys can see that. Melodee, see? She got a file. She get highlighted. We put notes, and she gets a file with a bunch of stuff and paperwork in it. And, this is something just fell. I just felt something fall. What just fell off? Well, I can't find out what just fell. I felt like something just fell off of this. Oh, it's a paper. Oh, paper clip. Okay, I see what it is. It's a paper clip. There's my paper clip. It was a paper clip. So, I'm accustomed to things. This is why I say, when people are like, oh, Betty's picking up, I do the same procedures from case to case, follow the same policies, same procedures, do the same things. I think that it's the repetition that helps us keep in the good graces of our high batting average, because we do have these checklists, and I don't have to rely on my brain cells, to get me through this. But because of these checklists, I can say, wait a minute, this isn't right. This isn't right. This isn't right. We had 13 questions coming into this case, and it was, when was her last assignment completed? How much contact or attempted contact did the school make before the wellness check? Who was friends with Ashlee? What did she do for money? Does she do drugs? What do the neighbors think happened? Did they ever see a lot of activity coming and going from the home? When did the drywall in the garage get hung? How long has she been in this home? Who owns this home? When was the last time the neighbors saw the little girl play? Was the child alive when observed with the mother? How does law enforcement know the child was with her mother on October 7th? An eyewitness, CCTV footage, or by other means? Those were our initial questions that we've had, and we've had a lot of those answered. So we don't know when her last assignment was completed, but they keep saying it's been at least 2 months. But when you look at the dates of everything, and you hear that this child was seen in August by the school resources because they had to go in there to sign up for this homeschooling, you realize that was 2 months ago. And then you start questioning yourself and saying, wait a minute, does this mean that she's never felt that they never assigned her work, that something's going on? And then you hear from the school puts out this letter and basically says if this affidavit isn't signed, that this is referred back to the school. So it sounds like that the mom forgot to sign an affidavit. That's what it's sounding like to me. And that this has all been kicked off because of some stupid paperwork at the school. And nobody's been able to change my mind about that. And every time we come here, the details of the case keep changing, but not from the mom, from law enforcement and the people that should know the details of this case. So I'm questioning a lot when it comes to this case, because I want to understand why we're here. Usually it's obvious for all of us why we're here. But in this case, it's starting to become clouded.
Impoverished. Neglect does not mean unhoused. It could mean if you are the child of a mentally ill parent, guardian, or foster parent. If you are in the care of somebody who is mentally ill, the dependency court can get involved.
But they haven't been involved for years. So if this so-called mental health was an issue, don't you think it should have been an issue years ago, including but not limited to now? But we're not seeing that in this case. I mean, he's talking about what would cause these things, but these things that he's talking about that could cause these things, it don't appear to apply in this case.
And remove that child from the home and place them either with a family member or in a foster home.
Good morning, Phoenix.
So somebody initiated a hotline call, and my guess is it was her last school. Because she was deemed to be chronically truant, absent from school, they are duty bound if they cannot reach the parents to notify the hotline. And that's what they did. They called.
I don't know if that's what they did, because again, it's convoluted here. We're hearing that it's been 2 months. According to their own policies and procedures, then these things should have happened over a month ago. Just saying, I mean, if we're following the school's protocols, they say whenever somebody is chronically truant, that means more than 3 days, that would have happened over 2 months ago. So why are they just calling it in? I think what happened is somebody dropped the ball, somebody overreacted, and somebody started going after this mom. This mom was probably calling. We don't know what the details are. I don't want to assume anything. But it just seems like everything that they originally told us to get our attention on this case has been found out to be untrue. Yet we're still here. So I'm just trying to get a good understanding. I just want it explained to me. You know, maybe there's a good and reasonable explanation, but I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I'm not bringing up these very, very legitimate claims and arguments and talking points, as a matter of fact. Was Ashlee's mother at her daughter's home and witnessed the condition of the spoiled food? It sounds like it, but everybody keeps forgetting this happened years ago. This wasn't a recent event. This was when she got her child taken away from her before, when the family tried to adopt this child. This was years ago. Years ago. I think when maybe Melodee, I don't even know. I think Melodee was under 3 years old, 3 years and under when all of this stuff all took place. From my understanding, this was not anything that's happened recently. And you know, like I say, this woman's been put through a lot. If she had a mental breakdown, 4 or 5 years ago, so what? Everything was, her child went to foster care until she got herself together. She got herself together. She petitioned the court and she got her child back. Everything that we're hearing mental illness wise, all these stories, these were years ago stories. These weren't today's stories. And I think that that's what's deflecting from the truth here, because, I don't know. Like I said, I know that this is not a popular viewpoint, because typically we're all about getting into the family's home and doing stuff. But usually we have we clearly see why we're here. I could clearly see why we were here when we started this case. But as more details came about this case, I'm stopping and I'm like, it was really Vinnie Politan. It was something, and it wasn't, I highly respect Vinnie. But it was just something with his conversation, and it was like this, I could feel like frustrated, like this overwhelming frustration, and I don't know where it came from. And I was actually shocked that I was feeling this. I was actually shocked that I was being argumentative, almost combative. No, you can't see it because I'm watching it. I'm here myself, but I'm almost combative with Vinnie Politan privately, and so I realized that this was something that there was something here with this talking point, because I could feel myself getting frustrated when Vinnie Politan was talking about it. And so I started identifying those feelings, and I realized that those feelings are coming because we were originally thought that this was an Adam Montgomery, Harmony Montgomery situation, and then we surely it was the photo of this child at the rental car place. That's what changed my mind, and it didn't change my mind immediately because I was still on the bandwagon. Everybody else was. Want to be sleuth, and it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well this morning. Good morning, love. But it was when I started, identifying them, and I realized that everything that we learned about this case that got me angry toward this mother, Ashlee Buzzard, and what happened to Melodee ended up not being true. And I've expressed those already. It's the fact that we heard she hadn't been around for over a year. And then that she rented a car and took off. And you guys heard my analysis of those by putting those facts together. I was like, okay, well, it sounds like what we got here is she hurt this child. The truancies are coming around. The truancy protocols are being taken out. And she's flipping out. Now she needs to get rid of the bones. That's what I thought. That's what I said. I told you guys all that right here on the show. And then we start learning this and start learning that. And it's like, wait a minute. Everything we were told about this case has been categorically false. False. And usually when we start hearing those things, we usually get the false statements from the families, like Christopher Proudfoot, right? Always lying. You know how we know Chris is lying? His mouth is moving. It's just like that. It is just like that. And I tell you that, it is just like that. Right? But this time it's coming from the school and law enforcement. And I'm like, we got to pump the brakes here. We got to pump the brakes. Slow it down a little bit. Slow it down. Truancy can be a red flag, but this doesn't seem like true truancy. This seems like paperwork. It seems like somebody dropped the ball on paperwork, not true truancy.
Called the DCFS hotline. Schools are mandated reporters if they cannot locate a child or get a hold of a parent of a child who is enrolled and there's no evidence that the child was either withdrawn or otherwise disenrolled from the school. So it sounds to me as if the school generated a hotline call. DCFS went out to the house to make a home visit and follow up on the whereabouts and the well-being of the child, and they couldn't make contact with mom. All right, does that mean the child has been abducted? Likely not. She is the sole custodial parent of the child. Biological dad passed away, I believe, when this child was just an infant, and there is no evidence of a crime. Merely crossing state lines with your child is not a crime.
See, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is where I think we're having our problems. Let's go back just a little bit. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm gonna try to keep my mouth shut.
Passed away, I believe, when this child was just an infant, and there is no evidence of a crime. Merely crossing state lines with your child is not a crime. The child is not being abducted.
There you go.
Merely leaving that child with a trusted loved one or a friend, even out of state, is not a crime. However, if the child is left for an extended period of time, usually it's 6 months or more, the child is deemed to be abandoned.
There's your abandon. That was what I wanted to show you. So this child hasn't been missing 6 months. This child has been missing 7 days by the time the county reported it, okay? Mom wasn't missing the kid. Everybody that's sitting here, I can't believe mom's not cooperating in the missing person, because she knows where her damn kid is, okay? And I'm sorry, but a piece of me, I mean, I just think of how much of a smartass I am, okay? And I'm going to be a smartass to the day I die. Trust me, it's going to be the one glaring issue I've always had my entire life, just being a smart ass, okay? And if somebody told me, had no reason to force me to produce my child and wanted me to produce my child when I took my child to Aunt Mary's house in Timbuktu, and I didn't call my government and ask them permission, and they come knocking on my door saying, hey, we need to see your kid. For what reason? Well, we just want to see your kid. We have some paperwork here that says we need to put our eyes on the kid. Well, you come back with a warrant and I'll produce my kid. Well, they can't seem to come back with a warrant for her to produce her kid, a signed warrant from a judge, right? We've been waiting. They sent her paperwork. You have 72 hours to produce your child, or we're going to throw you in jail. We're going to throw you in jail. That 72 hours has come and gone. She is not in jail. Why? I truly believe if they had probable cause, her ass would be in jail. Something is not right here. It smells in Denmark. Okay? If she's not in jail, that means the courts are not granting law enforcement's request to arrest her. And trust me, I almost guarantee they've got a request in there to get this woman arrested. And it hasn't been signed. And it's because of exactly what this guy is saying. She's the sole caregiver. She has the rights to do whatever the hell she wants to do. And in short of her abusing this child, being neglectful to this child, or doing something to harm this child in any way, they have no rights to be in this person's life. Yet here they are. So I don't know. I hope this child's okay, and I pray to God I'm on the right side of this, and I keep looking and dotting my I's and crossing my T's, and there's no way to tell because we got no cooperation from the mother. But, I keep looking at this, and when I analyze this case, and I look at the notes, and I look at where we were when we started this case and where we are today, the only person that has changed the freaking story is the school and the police. And I don't like that because that's a red flag to me. Right? If it's a red flag for our parents, it's a red flag for law enforcement as well as schools when they do these things. They flipped the script, they changed the story, and now I got a problem with that. If we have a problem when mommy and daddy change the story, we should have a problem when law enforcement and schools change the story. I'm sorry, we should. And here we've got a situation where the school as well as law enforcement has changed the story. This child was not missing for months. This child was not missing for years. This child was with her mother on October 7th, hardly missing at all. I've got a problem with this story.
Under California law, and that is grounds to go into the California Dependency Court on a petition to have the child declared a ward of the court, hopefully locate the child and place that child with a loved one or in foster care. So what the court can do right now, we call it a 300 petition under California law, a Welfare and Institutions Code section 300 petition. The judge can hear the petition if there's evidence of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. The court can order the parent into court.
And I don't think there's probable cause of abuse, negligence, or abandonment. I just don't see where they're going to have the probable cause. Actual evidence to produce. I don't know where they're going to be able to produce this evidence, and that is what is required for the dependency court to be involved. So I'm having problems with this whole story for legal reasons.
And testify under oath where the kid is. If she refuses to answer questions, she's going into custody. The court can actually detain a parent who will not be straight with the court about the whereabouts of a child if there is clear and convincing evidence that the child is either abused, abandoned, or neglected.
And they can't abandon this child until she's been abandoned for 6 months or left an extended period of time. Her mother has had her in her custody on the 7th and reasonably said had her in her custody on the 8th and probably part of the 9th before she handed her off to somebody else and headed back home to pack up their house. I just don't know where they're going to get that probable cause. I don't see where that probable cause exists in this story. And I think it's important because typically in many of our cases, we don't have these issues with these cases. But we have these issues with this case, and I'm going to caution everybody, pump the brakes. pump the brakes, because I think we have lawful issues here that take precedent. Not that. Listen, I don't want any child. You guys know me of anybody. I will smack the bricks off somebody over a child. I'll go to jail when it comes to a child. I'll do whatever it takes lawfully and legally within my strength to help a child, to put a bad guy behind bars that has hurt a child. But I'm also a fierce advocate when I start seeing things that don't feel right to me. And this is, I can't express it enough. And I wish mainstream media would get on board and at least look under the hood and challenge some of this, because there's some things that aren't making sense, that aren't sitting right with me, and nobody seems, not mainstream media wise, nobody seems to be mimicking those concerns that I have in this case. And at the end of the day, it's always about trying to find the child, when the child is missing, when we feel that something happened to the child. I feel like this parent's getting the shaft, and I don't like feeling like that. And I don't like feeling like I'm helping hurt another woman that's already been hurt a lot. I'm sorry. I've got problems with this.
The question then becomes, how long can they keep the parent? Well, if it's clear to the court that the parent or guardian has told them everything they know, then you have to let them out, because it's almost like a form of contempt. You're held in contempt until you're willing to come clean with the court and tell the court what it wants or what it needs to know. But if she has no further information, then she has to be released. The criminal court is the second track. And again, as we talked earlier, there's no crime yet. At most, what you might have is a child who is habitually truant or absent from school, and that is criminalized right now in California as a misdemeanor. 270.1 criminalizes the absenteeism, chronic absenteeism.
But you're gonna hear, don't get hooked up on this, because it's not being enforced and it's gone away.
Of a child where the parent is doing nothing about it. The problem is it's only a misdemeanor. And wouldn't you know it, that on October the 1st of this year, our beloved governor of California, Gavin Newsom, signed a bill into law decriminalizing that statute, meaning you can no longer arrest or incarcerate a parent who will not make sure that their kid is not truant.
So again, this is California. There's nothing against the law that this woman is doing. I mean, if we want law enforcement in the homes, we want to make sure that there's crimes being committed. Okay? We don't send law enforcement into homes, whether we agree with the lifestyle or not. We don't send our government into homes to take kids from families where we disagree with their lifestyle. Okay? This is a situation where I'm not seeing probable cause for all of this going on. Now, you guys, if something happened to you where somebody came into your world and wanted to start taking your child, you would appreciate these type of conversations that we're having on the Bullhorn Betty channel if the shoe was on the other foot. Now, I'm typically not like this. I typically take a bus and beat the brakes off of a parent. But in this case, there's something not sitting right with me again. For those that are coming in, it has to do with the fact that law enforcement and the school keeps changing their story. Not the mom. The law enforcement and the school. And that's just as much of red flags for me as it is when a parent starts changing the story. Okay? So we have some issues here that I'm not agreeing with, and I'm bringing up to point out to the people here. We need to be looking for Melodee. At the end of the day, Melodee has to be produced. Okay, this has gone far enough that there's no possibility of, in my mind, that we're going to get out of this without Ashlee having to produce her daughter. I pray to God that law enforcement does not take that child. If law enforcement does take that child when that child is produced by this mother, I hope she sues the shit out of them. Because I don't see why they're even in this woman's life to begin with. There is no, I'm still reeling from why we're here.
And the reason why they repealed that law is because they have determined that it has a disproportionate impact on the underserved communities in California, namely Black and brown people, frankly. That's the bottom line, that when you have a lot of Black and brown kids coming from the home of a single parent, and there's no trusted guardian, custodian, or maybe even a conservator or somebody else to take care of that child, while that custodial parent is in custody for not enforcing the compulsory education laws of California, then basically what you're doing is you're orphanizing a kid. And the legislature found that it was not in the best interest of society to lock kids or parents up for being truant. So instead, what they do is they provide services. They try to figure out, why is this kid truant? Why is this kid not going to school? And they have multidisciplinary teams of professionals that work with the family to try to get that kid back in school.
And we don't have that here. You know what we have here? We have them forcing their way into this woman's home, demanding the proof of this child. It doesn't sound like they're giving her much resources at all to help her. It seems like they just want to take the child. This is an awful lot of work to locate a child that was only missing less than a week when they came knocking on her door, that was with her happy and healthy when she took that child out of state. There's something, folks, I'm telling you, when I tell you something ain't right, I'm telling you that I truly believe something isn't right. Something isn't right. And I don't know how to express that any better. And I just want to keep showing you guys as much information. And listen, Jennifer she believes that this child's in danger and we need to find her. Okay, I do not. I believe that this mother has PTSD of somebody trying to take her child, which is very much warranted and understood. And she got her child out of the state before they could take her child from her. And now they're trying to find the child to take the child from her. So I think that that's the situation we're in. And everything that they're saying in California, they should be working with this mother and giving her resources, not trying to lock her up or take her child. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And this right over here, this unnerved me. Okay, this completely unnerves me. This is the family that tried to take the child away from her mother, not give her mother resources, and you know, there for a while. This right here is Melodee's sister, her half sister, the one that came up and wants a relationship with her sister. Her father is Rubiel, which is deceased. So obviously he had much older children and a much older relationship. I believe he was about 9 or 10 years older than Ashlee when they got together. But I feel like a lot of this is being pushed by their family. And I feel like a lot of it's being pushed by their family because I think that's the reason why Ashlee stopped taking the child around. She was absolutely scared they were trying to take her child from her. And no matter what, if she was probably very concerned that they would make stuff up if she started letting her go over there without her, and she didn't want to be didn't want anything to do with the family. They hurt her feelings too bad, or destroyed that aspect of their relationship. You got to remember, she had just had a baby. Her significant other died. She's there with a brand new baby and no help, and then the family doesn't give her additional resources and tries to take her kid when she's having a breakdown. I like, what woman wouldn't have a breakdown with a situation like that? Like, I just.
And Elizabeth Meza is Melodee's aunt. Thank you, both of you, so much for being with me tonight. Obviously, there's a lot of breaking information that's happening, and this search is going on right now at Ashlee Buzzard's house. There's a canine search at the house. They're searching a storage locker. They're also searching the rental car. Our police...
They're trying to find, I can tell you why they're doing all these searches. They're trying to find evidence of a crime, because if they can find a crime was committed, then they can arrest her. And they're trying to find a reason to arrest her. Oh, thank you, me and you. Don't forget, guys, we have like 170 people, 166 people in here right now. Please don't forget to hit that like button coming in or going out of the chat. I really greatly appreciate it. I love all the wonderful support from each and every one of you each and every day. Please consider giving that to me, especially during these times of a channel struggle. We've been shadow banned for almost a month for covering the Charlie Kirk case. We are still, and for the next year, we'll be flipping the bird to YouTube for censoring people's speech. I'm anti-censoring people's speech. I think that hate channels are dirtbags, especially when they try to go over and take other people's channels for doing not even close to what these animals here on these streets do. I think they're cowards. I think they're disgusting. And I think, if anybody needs to be off these channels, it needs to be them, not the good-hearted people that they attack on every single day basis. But getting back to Melodee's case, this is her extended family. This is the family that her mother wants her to have nothing to do with. And again, I can identify those reasons why she doesn't want anything to do with that side of the family. They tried taking her daughter. Not just taking her, adopting her. They didn't just want to take her off Ashlee's hands to give her a break. They tried to adopt her freaking kid, not give her help. That's some pretty low bullshit right there. I'm sorry, it is.
Or authorities keeping you in the loop as to any of what's going on?
Not really. We spoke to the news girl that's been following it. She called and just let us know what was going on, and that Ashlee was actually not arrested or detained. She was moved out of the home so they could search. But
so they've got a forensic team going into her house. They made her pack a bag, and they wanted her out of the house. I know what they're probably doing. They're probably checking the house with, black lights for it. But we know that the child was alive on the 8th, or excuse me, the 7th, right? We saw the child there at the rental place. Like, they're looking for what? Forensic evidence that she killed her kid? Like, come on. The child was alive. This is just...
As far as detectives, we
Maybe
called,
I'm not
left
seeing something
messages,
everybody else is.
and
I
they
don't
haven't
know.
returned any calls. So we've been in the dark.
So what do you make of this imagery that we've got now? The FBI is there. We've seen plainclothes police officers showing up and taking her with a packed bag in a van. Do you have any idea?
But even if that's the case, because, and it doesn't really matter, because when my cousin, she's deceased now, her name was Tammy, but my cousin Ty, he wasn't my blood cousin. Tammy's my blood cousin, but he was married to my cousin, so he became my cousin, cousin by marriage. When my cousin and him had been divorced, I want to say 10 years when he was killed. He was driving home. I'm sure he was probably intoxicated, and he was on I-75, and he got into a wreck and went off the embankment of the overpass and struck a utility pole and lost his life. And even though my cousin wasn't with him, she had obviously my Tana and Link, which were my baby cousins, her children. She cried. She cried for months. She cried for months. Just because you're not with somebody anymore doesn't mean that you'd want anything to happen to him. Like, I'm not with my ex-husband. Haven't been with him in years, since 2020. And I was with him, I wasn't doing any funny business with him 4 years before that, so but if anything happened to my ex-husband, I don't even have children with him, I would be absolutely a mess. So you got to take in consideration, maybe they're not together, but it doesn't change the fact that that was her child's father, that was still a support system, that was still help to upbring, financial, everything, being a parent. A parent, needs a father and a mother, So yeah, I get it, but anyways.
Idea what might be going on here?
No idea. I mean, they must have probable cause to, be searching, obviously. Maybe she said something. I mean, I don't know. It's all speculation at this point. We're just waiting for her to let us know where Melodee is so we could bring her home safe.
So we can bring her home safe. The mother has a right to do whatever. I'm sorry. I've got a problem with this. I got a problem with this whole damn case.
I mean, that is the goal of every.
And I've got a problem with the way the in-laws are acting. They act like they have. I'm sorry. I just have I have a problem. Maybe I don't know where this stuff is coming from. Usually I wouldn't be like this, but there's something with this case that is really just rubbing me raw. I mean, it is literally rubbing me raw. I will not lie. And when I'm this frustrated about a case, I know that there's a reason for it. Something is not right here. And the more I hear it, the more frustrated I get, because it's just like I want to smack people and like, wake up, right? But maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me, right?
Everyone, the police who are working on this, the neighbors who are keeping an eye on what's going on out in front of that house. There was that other video that I just played early on about showing Ashlee Buzzard taking down all of those missing child posters that were out on the front, front sidewalk out in front of her house.
This is good. You guys are going to hear me get a little irritated here too, because I totally disagree with Ashlee Banfield here. I totally disagree.
It just breaks my heart to see video like this, and I can't imagine what this is like for you guys.
She's not destroying the signs.
Yeah, it was extremely hard to watch that because, I know my niece.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, when we were posting signs in Gabby's front yard, or Brian Laundrie's front yard, his dad comes out and rips our sign in half. Like, she's diligently picking them up. She's not kicking them. She's not destroying them. She's not being a Chris Laundrie, right? But that's not what sets me off. It's going to be coming up.
Went out there, my mother-in-law and family members, and put signs up there, not only for the community to see it, but for Ashlee to remember, that you have this beautiful daughter, and we want.
I don't think she's forgot she has a beautiful daughter. She just wants to keep her beautiful daughter in her home.
Her back. We want her safe, and for her to just rip them down like they didn't mean anything, it's definitely
like that's what she's
it's heartbreaking.
So I'm curious about what you said about those who set those posters up. Do you know?
So, I mean, she doesn't look like she's tearing them apart, and she's not throwing them in the garbage. I mean, she's taking them inside.
Specifically, who put the posters out that she's tearing down?
Not like exactly which ones. My niece Karina did. Mm-hmm.
I myself did put a poster up.
So do either of you know if Ashlee put any of those posters up? I mean, it's her daughter, and I've been in this business a long time. You cannot keep a mother away from the press or police when their child is missing. Her
child is. That's what I'm saying. This is where me and mainstream media keep button heads. Okay, the child's not missing. Who designated this child missing? The government. The government, after they told us this child was missing for a year, come to find out this child wasn't missing for the year. This child was actually with the mother just on October 7th. The child looked healthy. The child did not look abused, did not look hungry, did not look starved. And I'm still trying to figure out where the probable cause is for this law enforcement to be this far up this woman's yahoo. That's what I would like to understand. And this is where I differ from everybody else. That she's not acting like she's got a child missing, because she's not the one that has the child missing. It's the state that wants to know where this child is. Why does the state want to know where this child is? Because the story was this child had been missing for a year. That's not the case. So what probable cause does the government have to force this woman to do anything or say anything? Everything that they told the public was wrong, and why they need to find this child ends up being false. I'm angry about this. I just want answers. I truly want answers. I want to understand. I don't want to be upset about it. I just want to understand. But at this point, I know for a fact that everybody needs to put their hands and their eyes on Melodee. So Ashlee, if you come across this live, just produce the child. Because I'm going to tell you, we will make sure you have an attorney, which I don't even think in California, you can get a free attorney. But to fight the county, because I don't think what they're doing is right. But at this point, you got to produce the child. I believe the child's alive. I think that's why she's not looking for. That's why she's not really upset. She looks more pissed off than anything else. And I had to take a step back because I was on the same mindset as all of these mainstream media personalities. But the one thing that I'm not getting is we started out with her being gone for a year. She clearly wasn't I thought the child was dead. Even when they told us that this child was seen on October 7th, I thought the child was dead. I clearly saw a child that was alive, that was not skin and bones, that had no bruises on her, that looked normal for a child her age. So I am sitting here scratching my head asking, why is this case on the Bullhorn Betty channel? But now it's here, and we're going to see it through. And I just want the government to explain to me why she needs permission to take her child out of the state of California when there is not a flipping court order for her to do so. And now all of a sudden she's dealing with all of this for what appears to be a paperwork issue at the school. I could be completely wrong. That's what it looks like to me. We will monitor this case, but as you guys can see, it really does upset me a little bit. Now, I'm not trying to change people's minds. I'm just trying to make people stop and think. You know, sometimes we just can't be hook, line, and sinker with whatever our government says. And you've never seen me stop the presses and say, wait a minute, do we have probable cause to do this? And if I'm doing that, it's because something's not feeling right with this case. And maybe you guys are feeling it. Maybe you're not feeling it. Maybe you're looking into it now. But I would like to know where you guys stand on this, because I'm very confused. And I know if I'm very confused, this is kind of what we dealt with, you know, Sebastian Rogers. We were so confused that we kind of had to lean on each other and help guide us and stuff like that. So please let me know how you feel. I know it's hard for me to watch all of your comments, you know, when I'm doing a live, but you can reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, and provide me your perspective. We also have a Where is Melodee Buzzard Facebook group. You can't miss it. It's the bright pink, fuchsia, and teal green Bullhorn Betty colors for the cover of her Facebook group. Go sign up there. If you guys have questions or perspectives, go prepare a post. You guys can do anonymous posts there if you don't want your name associated with it. I've opened that up for you guys. But I'd like to, am I wrong for feeling this way? You know, I feel like I feel dirty for feeling this way. I feel dirty for not pushing harder to find Melodee. But this is the first time I actually thought a child was alive. You know, this is the first time I've ever looked at a mother and didn't look at her like, you know, like she's got 18 heads. You know, this is the first time that I actually look at Ashlee and see somebody that feels, to me, jaded by the system. And I don't like feeling that way. I'm here to help, right? With reason. You know, I'm not a pawn. I'm not going to just, you know, say whatever the government wants me to say and step away. But something's not sitting right with me, and I want that worry box closed before I can advocate for this child. I need that worry box closed. I need the worry box that our government's not jading this girl. I need that worry box closed for me to do my job. So anything you guys can do to help, let me know your perspective. Am I off? Am I off base here? Hey, Marianne, it's nice to see you. I think this is a case if in-laws want the child and mom has been running away from them. Sounds like the B-Sox move. That's, yep. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It does. It does. That's why I want to know how we got here, right? Because is this something where, maybe one of the family got a hold of this and said, oh, this child must be going to this school. Let's call this. Because I have a problem with Ashlee leaving the house in wigs. The only time we hear stuff like that is when we hear of a woman running from an abusive person, having to go underground. And she's having all this. And then I have to stop and ask, how contentious is this fight with these in-laws? They did try to take her kid. We cannot take that away from them, right? And I have to think that there's a lot of hurt feelings there. And it just feels like she's been really trying to make sure that this family doesn't know where this child is. So I really do believe that this, that's why I'm being very cautious with this case, because I feel like this is a little overboard, and I want to know why. And it seems like there was a lot of misinformation from the people that should have known what they were talking about, law enforcement in the school. And we're finding out everything that we were told is not true with this case, and all the details, literally every single detail from the beginning of this case to now has changed. It's changed. And we're accustomed to hearing that from the suspects or persons of interest. And we're hearing this from the schools and law enforcement. I'm sorry. I got questions, and I'm not just going to go along to get along. This is serious stuff. When you start bringing in the government into family homes and telling mommies that they need permission to take their child, not like I've got moral compass, okay? And there is just some things that I just can't stand by and just keep my mouth shut to get along. I don't care whether I'm from the true crime genre or not. I'm still a political activist as well. And I still believe in parental rights. And I just want to know there's no orders of the court at all in this case. And then all of a sudden, everybody's in her business. She's not required to answer. She's not required to have supervision. She's not required to check in. She's not required to live there. She doesn't have a significant other or a custody plan with anybody. Like, what the flip is going on here? That's where my case is. Like, if I thought that this child was in danger, I would be right along with it. But I keep wondering how in the world we got here in this case. How is this case just running to the top? We need to start looking at this case, because I think this case is a little bit different than what we've seen. And I don't think the talking points are that of a missing child. I think we need to be talking about government overreach here, in my opinion. Or they need to start producing some stuff to support their claims that this woman is neglectful and is a mental basket case and should not have custody of her child. Because so far, all these years she's been taking care of the child, outside of years ago, none of these claims have been had until just recently. And I want to know what changed. And so far, nobody can tell, because originally it was because nobody saw this child in a year from the school. Then it was in August. Now she hasn't completed assignment. So which is it? And I think the courts are having the same problem I'm having. Otherwise, Ashlee would be locked up. She'd be in jail. So we'll have to see how this whole thing plays. At this point, I don't want to see her go to jail. I think that's going to be a disservice to her. I think she should produce the child. But I am absolutely terrified for her, because she's going to have an uphill cut. I already see where this is going, and there's nothing going to stop it. And I think it's wrong. Period. I'm not going to change my stance on it. If they're trying to make a play to take this child out of her home, I think they're wrong. And I think that mainstream media needs to get their shit together on the facts of this case, because I think you're doing this child more of a disservice than you're doing the public. Anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and send me some talking points here. You know, let me know how you feel. Because is Melodee alive? Yeah, we would like to know that too. I think she is. I've never been so confident. I could be wrong. But it's going to be a confident wrong, because I'm telling you, I've never felt so confident that a child has been alive as I do in this case. And that's what's kind of provoking some of these talking points that I have. And this case is provoking some real emotion in me. I will not lie. Different emotion than I'm accustomed to. So this is kind of interesting. I mean, it's interesting to me all the way around, you know, from the way I'm feeling about the details of the case to how I do believe in the things that I'm never going to change the facts that I believe. When I think a child's in danger, I think the whole cavalry should be in their business. But I also believe that there's got to be reasons, and what I'm seeing here, there's just not enough here for them to be doing all this to this woman. I'm sorry, there's just not. I haven't found anything. I mean, if this child truly was missing for 2 months, I could see, you know, my tune would be different, a lot different. But those are not the details of this case. This child was seen 7 days before she was reported missing by the state or by the county. She wasn't reported missing by her mother because she was with her mother. Her mother drove her wherever her mother chose to take her, because that's her mother's right to do. Her mother doesn't have to answer to any freaking government. I'd be telling them to kiss my ass if they did this shit to me, and I'm pretty sure she's probably doing the same thing to them. I'm just saying, you guys know how I roll. If somebody tried to do this crap to me, I would be, and she doesn't have a platform. She doesn't have anybody. But I wouldn't be fighting for her this hard if I truly believed her child was dead. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't. I'd be time to throw her under the jail, right? That's how we roll over here. We believe in DP. We believe in the whole kit and caboodle. So I'm just not feeling it here. I'm feeling something a little bit dirtier. I feel dirty when I cover this case, and not for the reasons of I feel dirty like government dirty. Okay? I just do. Some sniffs is smelling. Something's smelling. Guys, let me know if it's me. If you think it's not smelling, that they have probable cause, let me know I'd like to discuss those things. I'd like to have a real good discussion on this topic. What's too much? What's not enough? You know, this is the balance. I think this is the balance we've been having. You know, why we're always here complaining about the Department of Children and Family Services never doing enough. Maybe this is the case we need to kind of understand those arguments, because we've never dealt with a case where there appears there might be some overreach here, and what is a good enough. And maybe this might be the reason why some of these kids are staying in these homes when they should be removed. This might be a great opportunity for us to really get some of our stuff out on the table and work through it, because we've never had this side of the case before. This is new to us. This is truly new to us. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. I've got a little baby girl. She heard the outro. Sounds like she's, I keep getting this thing under my wheel. Sounds like she keeps, wanting to come here. She wants to say hi. Come on. Say hi, everybody. I am Delilah. I am the crime fighting. You know what? Another dog came over here, another little chihuahua. She growled at her. And another person, she goes, I'm like, Delilah, I can't believe you would be so rude. And she was like, It was cute. She didn't go and attack him, but she was letting everybody know that she didn't know who that was. So I picked her up and I took her butt and I shoved it in the other dog's face. And then I took her face and I shoved her face in the other dog's butt. And I figured that's how they say hi. Might as well just go ahead and get it out of the way, right? So we can get all the out of the way, right? I did too. I picked her ass up, pulled her tail up, and shoved her butt in the other dog's face. Like, she's okay. She's good. Leave her be. She heard the outro, guys. She heard the outro. It's time to go take this pup out to play some ball. She wants to go play ball. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, Oh, she's not jumping out of my hands. Usually when I say the word, she's ready to go. Maybe I'm holding her too snug. She can't move. Can you breathe? Can you breathe? Yeah, she can breathe. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. We'll see you guys later today. It is at we did good today. That's right, because I started way early. I think this has been a 3-hour live, maybe a 2-hour live. I don't know. Anyways, we'll be on the other channel. I don't know what cases we're going to be covering on the other channel because I haven't checked. The way I do this stuff is I read all this stuff and then I send it to me by email and I put show and then I go through my emails. I type in, find show and then I just go through it and I just pick. And if I have a lot of tabs up there, then I split it. I figure what do I want to cover on this show and what do I want to cover on the next show. So then you guys can get little bathroom breaks. And if you guys want to come over and hang out and talk about this topic, you're not forced to listen to topics to get to another topic. I'm trying to, because 15 and 14 topics get a little exhausting. I got to go boom, 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 boom. At least with 1, 2, 3 topics, you guys have some time to at least say hi or, screw you, Betty, or you're off base, Betty, or, take a hike or we love you, right? A whole host of different things. So anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as I said. And happy Halloween, TGIF, and happy birthday to whose birthday was it? It was it Melanie's brother's birthday? Melanie, I think it's Melanie's brother's birthday. Hey, Maria, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. Guys, if you guys have not been getting the notifications, please don't forget to, after we get off here, which we're about to do, go out there, unsubscribe, and resubscribe, and change your bell to all so you get all my notifications. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Happy birthday. And I bought it and I lost it. She's going to be a bat. And I went to look for the package. I can't find it because it was, when they sent it. Delilah, I'm about to take you out for gracious. She's just over there whining. She wants to go play ball. And it's still in the suction sealed bag. So the bag's like really flat and I can't find it. I don't know where the hell it is. I can't find it. I was going to be a witch and she was going to be a bat. And I have been looking for the frickin' outfit for her for literally over a week, and I can't find it anywhere. And I've cleaned this house. I've turned this house upside down, short of me looking at it and just not realizing I'm looking at it. I'll have to go back through her outfit bag again just to see if I tossed it in there, but I took everything out and I didn't see the package there. So it's just wings. That's all it is. It's just her black wings, but it upsets me because I spent like $7 on those wings. I could have probably gotten them cheaper at the dollar store. And they're in a section bag somewhere around this house that I can't seem to find. And watch, it's like literally the day after Halloween, it's probably going to jump out at me and say, oh, here I am. And it's going to be, well, thanks a lot, a-hole.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
So, anyways, we'll see you guys soon. Talk to you guys later, Gator.